Andy Young several weeks ago when he had him on, said Bill Orender is a purist when it comes to our system. Well, Joe Tansey is too, and you need to be a purist. And I want to start out before we have Joe talking about locker room notes for a second. And it says on page 224 of the locker room notes, the gold mine is overrides. Everybody wants to override. And then he says, what I wanted a new recruit to know is all they need to recruit is 3 people. And you're not getting it. And so last week I had a meeting with some folks and I started talking to them about to build this hierarchy to get wealthy. All you need are 3 people. And here was their response. So Tony, can you show the response of those 2 ladies when I told them they only need 3 recruits to get wealthy and build something great? All right. All right. Thank you, Tony. Actually, I sent that out. That's my daughter and my daughter-in-law. And I sent that out. There's a cross behind it. I sent that out Sunday and saying what happens when people realize that they have eternal life. So it's the same thing. But we got James Watkins. James, are you on the call? If not, James will be. Well, Joe, we're thrilled to have you. And, you're in the Northeast and in a part of New York, New Jersey area that has created so many great leaders. And so your name ranks amongst those great leaders. And like most things, I think you're overshadowed by Frank a little bit, just because he's Frank. But you have perfected this system and worked this system. And that's what happens when you dedicate yourself to this book and Art's message. And so Joe is $1 million earner, which if you understand it, there are certain things that he believes in and he's conquered and he's mastered. But the biggest one is consistency, persistent, consistent effort, doing the same things that bore most people for a period of time. Like Art said in the book, if you do the right things long enough, you will build an empire. So Joe, welcome. You and I had a great conversation yesterday, and all I kept doing was I was giggling and saying, that's what we need to hear, Joe. That's what we need to hear. And so, Joe, we're pleased to have you here. Thank you very much for being on. And I know you're happy to be on.
Absolutely.
Because when you have a bunch of people of like mind, it's like coming home to the mindset. So, Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself for a few seconds, and we'll let you have it.
Sure.
And then some of the messages you want to give. And then James and I will, we got a series of questions we want to ask you. Go ahead, Joe Tansey.
I appreciate it. Well, first, I'm excited to be on with the great Bill Orender. He's one of my heroes from the beginning. Actually, Bill, you're one of the first audio cassettes I ever had was with Bill Orender, and I wore that sucker out. And so it's also an honor to be here to speak to you guys, because you guys have, all the time you have the experience to have him for you. And sometimes it gets a little dull, but I am so excited. For those who don't know, I got into business when I was 21 years old. I was right out of college. I went to a job fair in the Meadowlands, which is in New Jersey, tri-state job fair. And I was looking for finance because, my family was broke. So that's what I went to school for. And I went for all these interviews, and obviously Primerica was there, and they were the only ones that told me to come back. Every other place I went for an interview said you didn't have experience, so they didn't hire me. And then Primerica, I went to the op meeting and they said, come back Saturday. So I didn't understand how it worked. I didn't understand how you got compensated. I was still, first thing Martine asked me, how do they pay? I don't know. I didn't get that far. They just told me to come back. But that's how I got started. It took me 9 months to write my first sale. So I made $101 9 months later. Everybody around me told me to quit. But then it took me another year. It took me 12 months to recruit my first person, another 11 months to recruit my second person. And then 10 months later, I recruited my third person. So obviously I got off to a very slow start. But what I really loved about the company is the Crusade. And I knew they had the most six-figure earners, most seven-figure earners back then. So I knew that what Bill is saying, if persistency and consistency over time, I get good at it. And that's how I started. But then by my fifth year, I made $129,000. My sixth year, I made $364,000. I started to understand the business, recruiting, training, developing. I mastered the kitchen table. And then my life changed. And then as I went to all, the events, study, be a student. And one of the things I see is people go to the events and they start changing things and they look for, let me change this and let me stop doing this and change that. And that stuff, you got to stick to your game plan, and it's the same game plan. And it's amazing how we followed Bill Art's system and we never met Art Williams ever. We never met Art. We never, when he had his book, he explains it all, but we didn't understand that the system that he was talking about, that's what we were doing. And that's why we were having the success. So over the last 25 years, the company has paid us almost $11 million plus all the stock, which is now, I don't know, like almost 3 million. But not too shabby for a college student who took 3 years. And my third year full-time, Bill, I made $12,000. That's amazing, right? And everybody said, quit. But I knew that if I overcame some of the challenges, I was going to get it. So that's how I started Primerica. And the beauty is that I learned what, Bill's going to go over in a couple minutes, is I learned how to taproot. I learned how to go deep and really, really learn how to train and develop people in the field. I mean, that is like the most underrated thing in Primerica today. It's like, get a couple people, they'll figure it out. And it really doesn't work that way. So that's what happened. So we're an overnight success. So it took us 25 years to break $1 million in income, number 113. But I know one thing, Bill, right now we got 2 people that are on track to become $1 million earners by next year's convention. So, like anything in life, the first mile is the hardest mile, but then the second mile, once you keep going and people see, what it takes to win and they follow the system, it breaks through right away.
Well, Joe, you said, I was in New Jersey or somewhere with Andy Young, and I said, what are these guys up here doing? Why are they so successful? And he said, well, when everyone else recruits a person, they try to get 3 sales from them. What these guys up here are doing is they get three recruits for them. How have you avoided the mindset of most people and created that system of recruiting and building in depth? Where did you get it? How did you adopt it? And who keeps you going on that?
No, that's so when me and Frank first started, we did what everybody else did. Well, at least Frank did. I didn't do it because I didn't, have the resources. At least that's what I thought, right? But Frank came in right away, got 83 or 87 recruits in the first 9 months, 52 direct people, all that stuff. And then Frank figured out, he said, wait a minute, where did all these people go? Because, if you don't have somebody to take care of the recruit, then why are you just recruiting them? And I think the mindset that gets in people's mind in Primerica is a recruit equals a sale, and then let them figure out if they're going to be the one to be the next, district or division or regional. And they get caught into that mindset that a recruit is just going to make a decision to do it, when in fact, you know, we got into the mindset of, okay, if I recruit Bill, if Bill leaves, I get locked out. That means I got nobody else to see. I got nowhere else to go. So the question is, okay, before Bill leaves, because Bill's going to leave, what do I want to have happen? And the mindset is, if I get the sale, then I made some money, but now I'm sitting there unemployed. But if I get another recruit, then that gives me an opportunity to get into their warm and hot market. And then I could stay not locked out. I have places to go. See, our business model is very simple. It's that we recruit people to recruit people. And we got to understand that the product that we offer, the financial service, everybody needs that. Everybody needs it. So it's not like you have to sell the financial services, because if you're in the right market, the services they already need. The only thing you got to get good at is being able to explain whole life is not as good as what our product is, variable life, universal life. You got to be able to articulate it so they can understand and they get pissed off. Saving for their kids' college, getting a better rate of return in the bank. All that stuff is, you know, we spend a lot of time focused on how to get those skills down. But once you get those skills down, you know, the focus is not, look, I have people on my team that are really good skilled, but they got nowhere to go. So what good is you having a skill set if you can't use it? So the focus here is, the mindset is, if I'm going to go out and recruit somebody, I don't want to get locked out. So I better quickly go and get 3 people for them. And here's the thing. The 3 people you get are not different than the 3 people you help them with the products. See, when you go on the top 25 list, and Bill, I went through all this stuff. I went, and you went, in the beginning, okay, give me the 3 people that are married, kids home, boom. And I would just get anybody who's married, kids home, because we're taught to go in the right market, right? The selective masses. And then I would go into those markets, and then it's like, man, I'm in a qualified market, and the guy don't want to get recruited. And then he's a little private. He don't want to go over his finances. So it's like, man, I went on a qualified appointment. It didn't work. Then I started to get smarter and started to ask better questions. So Bill, let me ask you a question. Out of all these people that are married, kids home that you know, right here, which one would you say is money motivated, looking for opportunity, open-minded, that if they saw the same business opportunity that you saw when I came to your house, they would be interested in being part of your team? Now it goes a little different. Well, I would say Chris, I would say Ray, and I would say Mike. Okay, so why do you say Chris, Ray, or Mike? Well, I already talked to them. Oh, you did? Yeah. What did they say? Oh, they're waiting for me to find out how it goes here tonight. Guys, those are the easiest 3 sales and recruits you're ever going to do in your life. So just because you're going to a qualified market doesn't mean it's qualified. So you got to qualify it even more. So that way you stack the deck in your favor. So at least when I go out with Bill, the first 3 appointments I could go on could be his 3 recruits and his 3 sales at one time. Not, okay, Bill, we got 3 life sales. Now we got to find 3 recruits. And it's like, what do you mean? The 3 life sales should have been the 3 recruits in the first place. Now you're teaching the trainee, well, I'm looking for, Joe, this guy, he needs a life insurance. He needs a life. Now you're teaching them to look for life sales instead of look for a recruit, because the recruit should be the life sale. I don't know about you guys, but every time I train somebody who didn't own the services, it didn't go well. It did not go well at all. Right, Bill? It didn't go well because part of our presentation, the simplicity of our presentation, is the testimony. So you don't have to be great at sales. You just got to be able to testify. Hey, look, Bill's one of the top trainees in our training program. When we sat with him and Carol, and we showed them how, they were so excited. Matter of fact, Bill, do you want to share, what we did for you and what you had before. Oh yeah, Joe, here we had this policy and this, and you know, us and the kids, and God, if I died, and then that's the testimony. But how can I, hey Bill, you mind sharing what we didn't do for you? No, I'm just here. You know how many times Bill I got, no, I'm not here. I'm not here to sell it. I'm just here to bring you on the team. So those are the things that as going through trial and error. And then one of the things, guys, you got to do is when you're in the field, you got to take notes afterward. Like you got to assess, okay, what happened? What went right? What went wrong? And then you got to get your emotions out of it. I suck. I'm no good. This ain't working for me. The faster you could get that out of there and really get to it's like a scientist, you know, when they're probably doing the COVID vaccine, of course, man, this is going to work. And then it don't work. They don't sit there for 5 years saying, I ain't going to go back and try another vaccine. They're like, all right, that didn't work. Let's go to the next one. But in Primerica, it's like, bro, what happened? Nah, man, it just didn't work last week. And I'm just, you know, my emotions are getting to me because I don't think this is where God wants me. Oh my God. Can you cut that crap out? You guys know what I'm talking. I've been there, right? But Bill, that's one of the things that really got us to focus on. Not get a recruit, don't get locked out, really qualify the market, get to the best people, as Art would say, they're 5 best friends, right? Because if you're my good friend, after your first appointment, they already talked to their friends about what they're doing. Hey, I just sat down with this guy. What do you think? So they already talked to them. So it's like, well, what did you tell them? Well, they're waiting for me to find out how it goes. Okay, great. Let's go see them right away. Are they married, kids, home? Yes, that's who we want to go see. So I don't let them take me. And in the beginning, obviously I did. I let them take me to 1-pointers, 2-pointers, you know. Yeah. And then this is what happened to me. I don't know if it happened to you guys. I went out with them in the wrong market because they said, hey, these are the people I want to go see. And then we went and we didn't recruit. Or if we did recruit, now I got to go train this guy in an unqualified market, waste my time, make no money, tell Martine how to go tonight. Well, it went good. Did you make money? No. That's, you know, the money comes later. You know, first you got to, you know, you got to do that. And then you're sitting there scratching your head like, what the heck? And then not only that, but then after 2-3 weeks in the business, you call the person and the person says this to you. You know, Joe, I was thinking. And you know, when they say they were thinking, it means they were, right? I was thinking, you know, this just isn't for me. Well, what do you mean? Well, because we went out 5 times already and it ain't working and we ain't doing business. And I'm sitting there like, well, of course we're not doing business. You're taking me to the wrong market. And they go, well, but Joe, you didn't tell me that. Well, no, you wanted to go see those people. And now they're quitting because they're saying it doesn't work, when in fact, I knew it didn't work because we shouldn't have gone and seen those people. But then I learned how to say, look, I'm going to show you how this works. And then the first thing I would do on the top 25, because here's the thing, guys, you should be in the qualified market, right? What does ours say? 90% in the qualified, 10% outside, right? So let me give you an example. I wasn't qualified. I wasn't even a 1-pointer, right? But Frank didn't spend time with me. You know, he didn't say, hey, we're going to field train you and this and that. No. He didn't sit there, okay, you got this trainer, this is what you're going to do. No, I would never on my team. If Bobby, if there was a 1-pointer, I would tell Bobby, you can't train the 1-pointer, put him in school, do this, do that, have him bring some people, but we're not going to do that unless they have a qualified market. I would never put one of my trainers to go out and waste their time in an unqualified market. It's just, we ain't doing that. That's not our business. Now, if they're unqualified, they got qualified market, we're going to go. But we're not on mercy missions. We're not on there, you know, trying to save the world and then lose our opportunity. And then your wife or your husband says, look, this ain't working. So I want you out of the business. So now what would happen is if I learned that when I sit down and do the list, I would have them put their name in the first spot. So here it goes, Bobby and Takia. So you guys were married, kids, home, job, boom. So you guys are what we call qualified market. Now, look what happened when we came to your house. Did you need the services? Yes. Did you need the investments? Yes. Did you want the opportunity? Yes. See, these are the people that we want to see. So now what I want you to do is go down the list and start putting people like you. That's the easiest way to teach somebody what a qualified market is. So now when you start training, now you're stacking the deck in your favor, going to see the best people. And here's the thing, this is the way I see it, Bill, is that we don't do like Microsoft. Microsoft, when they hire people, they, put the ad out there, and then they get all these resumes or whatever, Indeed or whatever. And then they go through the test to see if the personality is there, right? But we don't do it that way when we're looking for people. See, you guys got to understand, the way we look for people is through somebody's qualified market. So I don't want 200 people on their list. I don't need 200 people on their list. I just need the top 10 people on their list. I love when people say, Joe, this person knows 2,000 people. I'm like, look, man, can this time at least you get the 3 of them? At least get the 3 of them this time. I don't care. This guy knows 2,000 people. Look, man, we've been fooled before by that. It doesn't matter. Let's get to the top cream of the crop that are like them, so that way we could go and recruit again. That's how we look for people. So for us to go through a top 25 list and not scan and look. So Bill, let me ask you a question. So you said that Martin would be interested in getting into business like what you're doing here and is opportunistic. Why do you say that? What is it about Martin that you would say if he saw what you saw, he would get on your team? Well, Martin's a go-getter. Martin is always has 2-3 jobs. He works part-time on the weekend. He's a coach for AU basketball. Oh, okay, great, coach. Good. So I'm looking for what are the characteristics of the person I would want on my team. So when he tells me that, I'm selling myself. Oh my God, I want to see Martin, man. That's the one I want. Hey, what about Bill? Bill, nah, he doesn't. Nah, he's one of those, he's in his bowling league on Mondays. He does that on Thursday. Okay, great. But what about him being an opportunist? Nah, Bill's like, when he gets home at 5, he don't even like you to call his house at 7 at night. He's very, okay, great. So what we'll do is we'll leave him for later, right? Leave him for later. Maybe when he gets licensed or later we go. But I want to get the first 3 quick, because what's the shelf life of a recruit? Maybe a couple of days, right? But here's the problem. We all think that our recruit is going to stay 2-3 months, and it's really a couple of days. So that's why Art always said, you got to get them out in the field within 72 hours. So Bill, what Frank and we figured out, and we didn't notice from the Art system, is 48-24. So within 48 hours, you got a trainer to sit with them, and within the next 24, you're in the field with them. So that's what we would always say. Did you do the 48-24? Did you do the 48-24? Because you have to have that sense of urgency, because if you don't have that sense of urgency in the next step, the people disappear, right? Who gets it? So that's some of the things that where we came with that mindset, the speed. We were always like, it's like when Cheryl Bartlett says, if they went to the bathroom, you went to the bathroom with them. In the office we had back in the day, there was no bathroom. There was no, the bathroom didn't even have a window. So we'd wait outside because you couldn't escape. You couldn't escape.
Well, thank you, Joe. We've got James Watkins. James has studied you, Joe, and got to know you very well. James, what comments you have to make and questions, please?
Hey Joe, what's going on, brother? Congratulations again.
Congratulations to you, man.
Man, well, like Coach said, well, you and I mean, I picked your brain several times, called Bud, you and Martine,
Absolutely.
many times. You always been there for me. And a lot of the things that I hear you saying, I mean, I've heard you say before. Um, I guess, Bill really took kind of my question, but the second half of that is how did you protect? He said, how did you protect your mindset and the message from all those other messages, because you're going out getting 3 people right away and building, talking about tap rooting and all that kind of stuff. What are some of the things, that you would recommend to protect yourself and your environment from all the other noise that goes on?
Well, I think what happens is when you look at Bill, you look at everybody who's the great giants of the business, and you'll see that worked for them. The challenge that happens is that most people want to change it. I want to create something new. And he hit it on the head. Becoming wealthy is not sexy at all. I mean, you got to do the same boring stuff over and over again, but with enthusiasm. And I think one of the things that, I learned from Frank is that, you gotta find what works, and you gotta run your play. And if you're a football team, I'm a football team, and I run the ball and I'm successful at running the ball, and you pass the ball, you're gonna have players on your team come to you and say, hey, I like the way they pass the ball. We should pass more. Well, if you want to pass more, go to James. But we're gonna stay here. This stuff works. This is the stuff. And you guys got to remember the challenge that we have is when we don't get the success right away, we always want something easier. We want to say, well, they're doing it easier. They're doing it better. Man, if we could just do that. And the answer to that is when you guys go to do that, it ain't working for you either. Because you need to work regardless of what play you run. You got to work regardless of what play you want. It's the grass is always greener and easier to maintain on the other side. Look, his grass is greener. Yeah, but you don't understand. He puts double the work, but you don't see the work. So you got to learn that whatever your play you're running, that's your play. And it's within your team. Now the hardest thing you're going to do is to get your players. And remember, it's your key people that got to be on to that. Because your job, James, is to show people that play is winning and is working. So there's going to be 2 or 3 people that are going to be running that play, and then you'll see the numbers run up the scoreboard, and then that's the key. So that's what me and Frank always saw. Let's show people that if we can get someone coachable to the system that we're running, that helped us change our lives, and we can get somebody to buy into that and do it, then we say, hey, Bill, look, see him, brand newest guy. So we got a guy right now. He's under 2 years. He's 2 years in the business, and he's over 200 and almost 50,000 in income. So he followed the play. He recruited 88 people last month, did about 50,000 in premium, but he's 2 years in business. So he don't know what most of our people know. He knows less, because if you're less in business, you should know less than somebody who's been 4, 5, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. But it's that when you run the play, you don't need to know everything. You don't need to know everything. And you're never going to know everything. But one thing I do know is you run the play 80, 90% of the time, it's going to work. 90%, that little 10%, who cares? Who cares? Remember, when you guys cook, you gotta make a mess. Not everything gets in the pot. So the problem, Bill, that I see is everybody wants all, the perfect system, no recruit left behind, nobody fell through the cracks, no sale. How did you miss that sale? Ray, how did you miss? You can't get every sale. But yet we think that in a perfect system, you get no, you don't. In a perfect system, it's running. You're losing sales. Your recruits are falling through the cracks, but not 80% of the time. And that's what happens. So everybody tries to be rigid. No, it should be. No, man, I don't know about you, but when I stopped being rigid and started to understand the way Frank understood it, then I started to get bigger. In the beginning, I was like, well, Frank, if I let Bill go on that appointment, he's going to lose that closing. And he's like, okay, Joe. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Next thing you know, I come back, I lost the closing. But it wasn't the fact that I lost it. It was my intention that Frank, it wasn't that I lost it. But you guys got to understand that's not the way the business works. Make sense?
Yes. Well, Joe, you talked the other day on yesterday, about every recruit should bring you 40.
Yeah.
Every recruit should have 40 people underneath them. That was an extraordinary way of explaining the multiples. Talk about that, Joe.
Yeah. So Frank, man, let me tell you, how do you stay focused? And this could go back to what James is saying. How do you say? Because you can get distracted, right? I can recruit James. I'm going under James, and then all of a sudden, I recruit Ray, and then I forget James because I get intrigued by Ray. Ray knows 3,000 people. James. And the next thing you know, James gone, Ray's gone. So you got to be careful with that. So the focus would be, and we would challenge ourselves, is if you could take one person and recruit 40 people under, which is 1 to 3, 9, 27. So if you take 27, 9, 3, and the 1, that's 40. So we would call it the 1 to 40. So if you could get one person go 40 under, boom. So now what our focus would be, it would be, okay, so now watch this. I got James. I'm going to go 1 to 40. And then Bill got Alex. So we would compete. Let's see who could do it faster. Let's see who could do it, right? And then it's all fun and games. But in reality, we're pushing ourselves. Oh, shoot, Bill already got 4. I can't. All right, let me get focused. And then we would go. And the key here is as we would go, we'd have a trainer ready to train the people. Because if I recruit all those people, I can't train them all, number one. Number two is if I don't get somebody to train the newest person I recruit right away, that person's gone. Mm-hmm. And I see that. I think it goes back to, and this is the way I explain it to my team, is that, Bill, I write a life sale. The company pays me. Now, the newest person, the newest license who doesn't understand, they think it's over. Man, I got paid. They forget to follow up on the blood and urine, the delivery, all that stuff, all that. And next thing you know, it's like chargeback. It's like, what the hell is this? So what we teach our licenses is brand new license is you didn't get paid until you delivered the policy, did the investment, and the client's happy. So even though you get this fake check, that's not the end. That's the beginning. And once I understood that, then all of a sudden, QBI took care of itself because it's where you train your people. If you train the people, once you get the check, that's the finish line. They ain't thinking about anything else. But if you train them, policy delivered, investments done, client solution, whatever, that's the finish line. Then what happens is, next thing you know, they go to, this is when I get paid. So now let's go back to the recruit. Most people in Primerica, they're recruiting for a contest. They're recruiting for IBA credit. And that's a problem. I don't want the IBA. I want the names.
There you go.
I want the names because I'm not thinking about this month. I'm thinking about next month, 5 years from now, my financial future, freedom. Art Williams said, you're one recruit away from, one recruit could take you 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, or total financial independence. But it only happens if you pay attention to that recruit. Joe, I've been recruiting only, man, I had people, Bill, tell me, I recruited 500 directs. I'm like, what the freak, 500 directs? I mean, I'm a loser. 500 directs. And none of them are here. And it's like 500 directs. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, man, I didn't recruit 500 directs. I don't even think I recruited maybe 25, 30 directs. I don't know. But I knew one thing, Bill, I had no recruits in the beginning. So I was lonely, depressed, that when I got somebody, I was like, you ain't leaving me, pal. I am not going to sit here alone anymore. I'm going to recruit under quick because I am not going to be left out in the cold. But you get people that go, I recruited 3 directs, 5 directs. It's nothing to me. Because it's nothing to you, you don't value it. It's nothing, you don't value it. But I'm telling you, I want that list. So the focus is, if I recruited someone for James, that person, the next thing is, they got to get a trainer, or else what was the purpose of recruiting him? And you guys know as well as I know, if I close James and I recruit him and I didn't have a trainer to follow up to train him, then what happens to James? James gets upset. $25 comes out in the POL next month. They told me I was going to make money. Nobody. All right. You know what? Let me cancel the policy. Let me cancel the investments. And next thing you know, you're like, well, what the hell is this? Yeah, because think about you when you go out to buy something and somebody promises you something and you don't get it. How do you feel? You're like, man, I don't want to do business with this person. So you got to have somebody. I think the key here is what I learned is when somebody quits, they quit as a happy client, not as a disgruntled client who didn't get what they told them. And I know you guys, as well as me, when we go recruit somebody that was in Primerica before, they say, oh, yeah, we didn't get a good experience. Why? No, they told me they were going, nobody, I don't know. Nobody followed up with us. It's like, nobody followed up. Okay, that's the common denominator. Well, guess what? I'm going to follow up. Hey, James, great. I got you a trainer. This is Bill. Bill's going to be training you. Man, awesome. And then Bill takes over, starts training him. And then if James ends up quitting this way. Hey, Bill, look, man, we had a lot of fun. It's just not for me. Hey, not a problem, James. Look, man, hey, at least we had fun. You helped a bunch of families change their lives. You change your life. You have a license, or you don't have a license. Look, the door's always open. If it ain't for you now, but it is for you later, just give me a call. That's what I'm here for. Okay? Yeah, no problem. Boom. Now he leaves as a happy client, a happy Primerican. And when he goes around, he can say, hey, you got to call Joe. You got to call Joe. You got to call Joe. And that's how Primerica keeps its reputation. Not us trying to get some company to make us on the list, because everything we do is word of mouth.
James, you talked to ask a question to Joe about replacements, because you're the one that brought it to me, James, and how he's mastered it. And so how would you phrase that, James?
Joe, you've told us a couple of times. One time at Rudy's. I know you're thinking about it.
Baby.
But talk about the replacement concept. You and I, we talked about it, and how just share with them what you share with us.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, replacement is the business, right? Replacement is the business. You've never seen anybody get really big, and you've never seen anybody develop RVPs outside of replacements. That's really it. When you come down, Larry told me, Joe, I had 100 direct RVPs through replacements. Bill, you had the audio CDs, audio cassettes of the replacement. We just followed that system from you guys, from Hector, from what, that the replacement system is the secret sauce to the business. So the replacement is, you gotta remember, guys, what a replacement is. A replacement is you have to replace yourself in your RVP's base shop for the right to become an RVP, right? You're exchanging. You're getting the 110 contract, the 20% bonus. More importantly, you're getting the ability to promote RVPs, okay? Ownership, all of that. So the exchange principle is you become an RVP, you replace yourself in the RVP's base shop, and then what's going to happen is that's going to perpetuate forever. So if you really get the replacement system, you really only have to produce 2 RVPs in your career. One you give up, and then one you promote after RVP. That's really it. And that's what we've learned. That's what Frank did. That's what I did. And I could tell you, Frank got, a bunch of RVPs. I don't know, maybe 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 from the replacement. And my replacement became an RVP. And that's the most exciting thing about replacement, because I get to point and say, hey, look, my replacement became an RVP and then produced RVPs and multiple RVPs, which allowed Frank to become financially independent. And then I went and I did the same thing. I promoted 2 RVPs, and then all my RVPs direct to me came from the replacement. And still in my base shop, still 25 years later, I have people from the replacement that are going to become RVPs. Now think about this. I don't have to go knocking on doors. I don't have to go looking for people. This concept, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, but Art always says, I didn't like prospecting. I didn't like going to the mall. I didn't like going to the store, putting flyers on cards. Man, in the beginning, I did all that crap. I hated it. Then once we started getting into this tap room, forget it, man. I could do that all day long. So the replacement system, guys, allows you freedom to not go out and keep working for the rest of your life. But it's not talked about a lot in Primerica. You go to the trips and they say to your team, why ain't you an RVP yet? You should be an RVP. According to our guidelines, you would have been a super RVP. But the reality, Bill, is I never seen people make big money as an RVP without learning how to build, right? Without learning how to build, because the contract don't make you, right? I could have a district contract and make a lot of money. So it's not about that. It's about the mindset of a builder and to be part of that system. Because if I was able to develop somebody that I gave to Frank that now could become an RVP, then when I become an RVP, I have the skill set to do the same thing and become wealthy. But if I didn't learn that skill set in my RVP's base shop, and I just want to become an RVP because it's everybody's an RVP, people start thinking, oh, the money's in the RVP. No, the money's in learning how to build.
There you go.
RVP, because we can show you a lot of RVPs that they don't make money. And then it's like, and then you get people, well, I don't want to be like that. Wait. I thought you wanted the RVP contract. Yeah, but I don't want to be like that. Well, you got to learn how to build. And that's why you're in your RVP's base shop, to learn how to build, to make all the mistakes down. Because look, once you go RVP, don't call me and say, hey, Joe, can you go on appointments with me? Like, what the hell was this?
Right. Well, Joe, let me ask you, we got about 5 more minutes. What are some of the things that you had to change personally about making money, having money? Omar, we were talking yesterday, Omar and I had this Friday, a money quest.
Yeah.
And about, like Art Williams says, you have to get money motivated. And what keeps people back is their lack of money motivation.
Yeah.
How did you create that mindset, Joe, of getting money motivated?
That's a good. So here's the thing. I've always been money motivated because I didn't have money. Okay. But when I started to get around certain people who didn't have the money motivation the way I had, then I started to change, man. I don't know if I should, be thinking this way or that way. And then when I got in Primerica, I was really money motivated, but then, it would come off that, well, Joe only wants to make money. Joe only wants to make money. He only cares about money. He don't care about you. He don't care about that. And I had to change, obviously, the way I thought, number one. But number two is I had to change the people I was recruiting. Because I didn't understand that if I recruit somebody who has really deep money issues, like there's people that want to help people, are great people, but just they have an issue with the money based on their past, where they were brought up, the church, the mosque, wherever they went. Then there's other people that are just like, stingy, greedy, just not good. They're jealous, envious of you, oh, look at you, those are the people you got to stay away from. Those are the ones you got to get away, because it's so deep rooted in them that they're not going to change. They're not going to change. It's better for you to find somebody who is open-minded about, okay, look, man, Joe, what are your money beliefs? So I think a couple of things that helped me. One is, T.R. Eckert's book on Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. He has the 17 beliefs that wealthy people have. And that's a great book on beliefs, because he goes over the beliefs. I read the book, Thou Shalt Prosper, that you said, Bill, Business Secrets of the Bible that you told me, The Psychology of Money, right? I've read a lot of books on money, and what I'm looking for is the beliefs that successful people have. So what I had to do is I would sit down and come up with my beliefs about money, because they're deep rooted. You gotta attack the root, right? The weed comes up, you pull the top of the weed, there's still a root down there. So you got to attack the root. So you got to find out, what are the beliefs I think, or what was around me as a kid, my mom, my dad. Come on, money don't grow on trees. Money's this, money's the root of all you. So you got to figure out all those sayings that were around you. So you got to identify what are the deep rooted beliefs, and then you got to dispute them. And you go, that ain't true. That ain't true. Because remember, the beliefs that we were brought up with, guys, we're not challenging them. That's why we have the challenges in our life. Now that you're an adult and you get to think on your own and choose what you want to believe, this is the time where you got to reprogram your computer. Look, we all have our beliefs from when we're kids. So as an adult, you got to say, shoot, I didn't decide I wanted those. So now it's time for you to decide that. Where the heck is that? Having money I'm a bad person. That's not true. So those are some of the books, some of the exercises I went through. Frank went through all those, and we went through that stuff. We went through it together, because as you start making more money than what you're used to having, your thermostat kicks in. And guys, we work with money. We tell people, come on, how many times you sat with somebody and you sat there and they said, yeah, I got an inheritance. Okay, so great, man. How much did you get? Well, 600,000. Okay, so how much? So when did you get it? 2 years ago. All right, so how much of that do you want me to put on the? Well, zero. Yeah. I spent it. How did they spend it? I don't know about you, but I would start looking and saying, how did they spend it? When you start reading the book, see what happens is, when you don't work for something and you get something above what you're comfortable, you got to get rid of it, because that's not who you are. You're uncomfortable with it. The thermostat says that's not you. Give it a. How many people you sat with who got some money? Well, I gave 20,000 to my cousin. What? You gave 20,000? Let me ask you, before you got that money, did you give your 401k to your company? No, I wouldn't give my 401k. Why did you give that? Well, because it was just, I wanted to help out. Help out. Help out. And now they're back down to, my kids don't have college. We're in the house that still has a mortgage. We're going to be foreclosed. And you look and you say, what the heck happened? Guys, we see this all day long. We sit at people's houses and we hear the money beliefs. How about this one, Bill? When you show them, the wealthy 1%, 5%, this, that, where do you want to end up? Oh, I don't need to be wealthy. I just need to be okay. Well, I got news for you. You ain't even going to be okay. So that's why if you sit with somebody and they don't close, it's not because you didn't do a good presentation. It's sometimes their money beliefs are so strong, it ain't going to allow them to break through. So I don't sit there and say, well, Bill, I don't think Primerica works. And when we're 4 point, no. Guys, we're fighting poverty in the mind. We're fighting poverty. It don't just change like that. One appointment, one kitchen table ain't going to change the spirit of poverty that is generations through somebody. That's why you got Bill, who always talking about it, because if we don't talk about it, it ain't going to happen. And people sit there, no, Bill, I don't have money. Dude, if you don't have money, you got a money belief. If you don't got money, if you're not accumulating wealth, you have viruses of the mind. Because what a belief does is when you put an empowering belief, your actions will go up to that belief because that's who you're supposed to be. So I love, Bill, when they say, no, not me, I'm good. I'm a Primerica through and through. No. See, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. No, if your business is not exploding, if you're not growing, you're stuck. And that's one of the things that Frank has always hit on. And that's the culture we were brought up in, Bill. Don't get comfortable. You hit the milestone. This is nothing, man. The next level, because winners don't just win something and stop. That's what strugglers do. Strugglers hit a milestone and then they go out and then it's like they forget, like Larry said, the goose that laid the golden. Wait, I just hit a milestone and I'm going to travel the world and separate from the goose that changed my life? What are you, crazy? Man, this is the goose. This is my baby. I'm going to make sure the goose has a massage. I'm going to make sure it manicure and is fed well. But can you imagine I left the goose in the backyard and I went to Italy for 3 weeks? I come home, that goose is
Well, Joe, thank you very much. This has been historic. We had a record number of people on the call, by the way, so congratulations. But I got more texts saying that they're getting more out of this. James, thank you very much. Outstanding questions. And Joe, you got to be so proud of yourself, so proud of what you've accomplished for yourself and your family. And you give so many people so much hope. All of us do. But thank you very much, Joe. We'll see everybody all next week. I'll call you in a few seconds, Joe. All right, bye-bye.
Take care.